All right, so at this point, I've talked about it like 1,000 times in every other video. You've gotten leads, you've talked to clients, maybe you've gone to networking events, maybe you've visited their office, you've made some sort of contact. What do you do after? What's the steps? Like, what do you do for prospect? And what I'm gonna share with you is literally like right out of Sales 101. Like if you go buy like a Grant Cardone book, or if you go buy like a sales training, what I'm gonna share with you are stuff that I've picked up from all of that, plus my own experience. And I always say this, I didn't make this stuff up. I've listened to my clients and I've observed what works. You know who I listen to the most? Those old school guys that have been in business for 30 years and have multi-million-dollar companies. Where do you think I get this stuff from? From them. And guess what? Nobody out there on the internet is teaching this stuff because everybody's out there doing it. And I was out there doing it, and I ended up starting a construction estimating and consulting business from everything that I've learned. So that's what I'm bringing to you guys. So what's the very first thing you're gonna wanna do as soon as you've made that initial contact? Let's assume you went to a networking event, or you've called them, maybe you found them on Google, or you found them through the Blue Book, and or maybe Dodge, and you've made that initial communication, whether it's through email or phone. The very first thing I'm gonna recommend to you is pass by their office. And now let me repeat it, pass by their office. Pass by their freaking office. Why do I say it like that? Because I'm always saying this and people don't take me seriously. They don't realize the power of in person. And I know everybody's busy and it's easy to send an email. It's easy to send a text or a phone or make a phone call, but there's nothing like visiting. Now there's this thing in human beings are nonverbal creatures, like we are. And I think it's like 7% of our communication is through verbal, through the things you actually say, through the words. But 93% is nonverbal. The way you stand, the inflections in your voice. People are gonna judge you on your, like if you seem reputable, if you feel like you know what you're talking about, stuff like that. And you can't really do that through an email or through a phone. You can do it in person. So in the last video I made, I talked about the power of networking. To recap that video, I went to this networking event. I've never been a big fan of networking events. I always thought this was a little bit of a waste of time, but I went to the networking event. I talked to a bunch of GCs and developers, and a bunch of those guys needed estimating. They were like, I literally had a line of people that wanted estimating help. And I thought about it and I go, imagine if I just replace me, like not estimating, but imagine if I replace me with your company. There's GCs that need drywall guys. There's developers that need GCs. These guys go to these events to meet each other. So one of the tips I'm going to give you is go to networking events. Go to Google. Go find networking events. Go to Blue Book's website. Find out when the next event is and go do it. Go get a table, or at a minimum, just go to the event and go shake some hands. That's the biggest tip I'm going to give you. So, all right, let's assume that you did that, right? The first thing I'm going to tell you is pass by their office. And you've started this conversation, and a lot of people complain like, oh, my bid is, they're using my bid as the low bidder. They're doing that because you're treating your relationship very transactionally. So they're gonna do the same thing. Now, if this was your buddy or your friend, what would they do? Hey man, your price is kind of low, it's kind of high. Hey, look, why don't you send a bid for this job? This job, we're probably gonna give it to somebody else because they have more experience. Like, why don't you start with this one? And that's your goal. Your goal is to make buddies out of these people, is to make friends out of these people. So people say network, but let's use the word, make them your friends. Seriously, I had clients that I would go visit, and I remember one of them was called RCC and Associates. I would go to their office with my old boss. And when I was in drywall, I would go to their office just to pass by. I was in the area. That's where I got this from. And I would go, hey, I just wanted to check in, see how the progress of the jobs that we've submitted bids are. And they literally sometimes will stop what they're doing, pull up the spreadsheets, and they're like, all right, this job you were kind of high, this job you were kind of low. All right, this one we're negotiating. We're probably going to land the contract next week. Go talk to John. John's going to be doing the buyout. Boom, boom. So they would give us the inside information. And then I remember I went to another guy's office, another GC's office, and I didn't know them. Like, we literally hadn't even bid for them. And I walk in, shook hands. Hey, I was in the area. I wanted to stop by. And he's like, hey, actually, I got this job I'm buying out right now. You want to submit a bid for it? I'm like, hell yeah. And then he's like, and I got these other 3 that are negotiated that I haven't won them officially yet, but it looks pretty good. So you want to bid those 2? And I'm like, brother, 4 bids from 1 visit? That's crazy. And it's not just 4 bids. It's 4 hot bids, 4 hot prospects. Because if they give you the attention and they give you the time and they're literally like, hey, here's work for you, take it. Make those guys your priority. So the biggest thing I can do is pass by their offices. So how do you do it? Go get some business cards. If you're a GC, go make yourself a portfolio like this. So one of my clients brought this to me once. He's a concrete restoration guy. Literally, so like it's gray, but obviously make it with your own branding. And it's vinyl, it's like a thick vinyl. So I've never wanted to throw it away, but it's really well done. And what I would do is make this portfolio, hire a graphic designer. Don't do it yourself on like Photoshop or anything. Hire a graphic designer, go to their offices, go to architects' offices and say, hey, I was in the area, I wanted to meet you guys, and I wanted to drop off my portfolio. hey, who's in, I want to stop for 5 minutes. How can I get involved with your company? Oftentimes you're going to get there and you're going to see a secretary or some sort of office manager. So give them your portfolio and then try to see if you can meet someone for 5 minutes. I'm telling you, small talk wins the game. I have a client of mine from Arizona. His name is Matt Hensley. He has a plumbing company where he started off real small. He was a VP of construction of his company. He left and started his own company. And I remember I did an interview with him, and he didn't have a way to get leads. Like, he really didn't know how to do it. Like, he was always on the operational side, and he didn't know the sales side. So one day he signed up for my program, and I told him about the master list. So he's like, all right. So he started making more connections. He lands a couple jobs. That gets him on the radar with a company called Ferguson, which is a national supplier. They have some special GC or developer or something home builder networking event in Las Vegas. He goes, he meets a bunch of GCs and developers and home builders, and voila, he comes back, starts landing jobs, and a year later, he had over $5.5 million in revenue in his first year of business. Isn't that crazy? Why? Because of the in-person aspect of it. These guys, he went to this event, talked to them. You're not gonna win the jobs by your price. You're not gonna win jobs by like how expertise you are. You're gonna win jobs by the guy that's signing the contract, that's face-to-face. That guy needs to trust you. He needs to want you. He needs to want like your price. All that has to come together. And a lot of times contractors complain that they're not winning jobs because they're not doing any of this. So make sure you're doing this stuff. Number 2, find out what value you can offer to your potential client. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So realtors and developers are perfect clients for general contractors, right? What do they need? I work with these guys all the time and I prepare estimates for them. And what I can tell you is that developers don't know anything about pricing. Realtors know less about pricing. And a lot of times these deals are contingent on whatever a construction or remodel might cost. So I actually have a colleague of mine that one of the way he gets work is he goes to architects' offices and offers consulting. He doesn't offer construction services. He offers consulting. He says, hey, let us oversee your projects and let us give you budgets so that we can figure out your issues and your plans and your costs before you even go to bid. And then that he actually lands, I think he landed like a few $1 million last year of work doing it just like this. And I work with architects all the time and they don't know anything about pricing either. Think about what an architect needs. Oh, I need a reputable general contractor that I can recommend to my client. A lot of times architects are working with the client for a year, 6 months, and at the end of the construction drawings, the client says, hey, do you know anybody that can build this for me? And how great would it be if you've been involved in the process from the beginning, offering budgets, offering tips, even if you do it for free, you don't have to charge for it. By the way, if you do this and you need to create budgets, it's gonna be hard for you to get budgets from your subs. So you're gonna have to estimate the jobs yourself on a budgetary level. If you can't do that, we can help you. Just a side note. Anyways, and then think about what do GCs need? What do general contractors need? They need good subs. They need quality subs. They need subs that are reputable, that are good at what they do, not the guys that disappear and that they have bad reputations. So whenever you're gonna go visit somebody, have this in mind. As a matter of fact, inside of my training program, there's which I'm gonna put a link for you. I have 27 ways to get construction leads. And I talk about all of these different, I have like 20 something different specific types of clients and what they need and what the best angle to approach them is. Architects, property managers, realtors, interior designers, universities, malls. There's a bunch of them that you can actually go visit them and you got to think like, what do they need? And the best salespeople are not salespeople. I heard one of my clients the other day says, oh, I'm not really a good salesperson. I'm like, that's good. The best salespeople are not salespeople. Because what is a salesperson? Like, what makes you a good salesperson? Somebody needs something and you fill that need. That's it. You don't have to use trickery and negotiating skills. And I don't need to Grant Cardone this with my 3 methods of blah, blah, blah. I don't need to do that. I just need to find out what you need. And I need to figure out a way to prove to you and to show you that I'm the best person to fill that need. And that's it. And number 3, add them to your master list. So what is a master list? A master list is literally the best kept secret in construction sales. Professional salespeople use it, but they don't use it in construction. So I'm gonna teach you that tactic on how to do that. Matt Hensley that I talked about earlier, in his first year, he did $5.5 million of revenue. In total of signed contracts, he has a pipeline of $20 million. $20 million as of now. So a few months ago, I interviewed him to see how he did it. And his secret was the master list concept that I taught him. I couldn't believe it. If you want to learn what the master list is and how Matt Hensley did $10 and $20 million of contracts, go watch this video.